The Russian probably misunderstood what we were effectively doing.
Okay, thank you for your time. Where are you from?
I'm from France.
France. If you don't mind asking, how old are you?
I'm 36 years old now.
What do you do in your country?
I'm living currently in Australia, where I was working for the government, for provincial government, and I'm not just traveling around, so Japan is my fourth country that I'm visiting right now.
How long will you stay in Hiroshima?
In Hiroshima just for 2 days.
What's the impression about Hiroshima so far?
We can feel immediately the, let's say, the history, which is definitely part of this city. And I'm just now having a tour around the Memorial Museum, but also this famous A-bomb building, which we already, let's say, saw a picture in our historic book or whatever.
Okay. What made you decided to come to Hiroshima?
I decided to come to Hiroshima because I'm a big fan of history, and the Second World War also impacted a lot our countries, especially the region where I'm from, because we were living close to the German borders, and there were like two regions in France, northeast of France, invaded by the Nazis in that period. So people also suffered a lot, even if the context here is really different. The heart of the battle, I guess, was in Europe, and Japan is probably, let's say, the most important victim with that bomb, even if it was far from the origin of the conflict.
Did you learn about Hiroshima in your school?
Yeah, we learn at school, of course. It's the really end of our program when we are in the middle school, because we usually finish to study history before high school by the end of the Second World War. So Hiroshima is part of that history, and we also mention the similar event in Nagasaki.
Okay. And then, did you go to Peace Museum?
Not yet. I was on my way when we just discussed together.
You will go.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see the Peace Museum, Atomic Bomb Dome?
Yes, I just saw that. It's a really emotional place, I guess. Even if we already saw that place through some pictures, especially in our books at school, or even in some documentary on the television.
Okay. Has your perspective changed through your experience in Hiroshima?
It's maybe too early because I just arrived yesterday. I'm really astonished because I was in the famous temple on the sea this morning, and I was not, let's say, expecting such a old shrine and old architecture, because in my mind, I thought that the whole city will be entirely rebuilt, and I'm just now discovering that there's some building which survived from that period or probably been rebuilt.
And then what the peace means to you?
What the peace means to me, it's a huge question. Why there is now a huge conflict in the middle of Europe. I guess we need to, let's say, when a conflict appears, to go around the table and make sure that the common interest of everyone are, let's say, understood, and we can discuss together when there is any, troubles around. This is now also the question that people are raising about the conflict in Ukraine, because I guess the situation is quite struggling, and we could face also a difficult moment if we are not able to discuss and make sure that everybody can, let's say, live in peace and get, let's say, preserve their own interest.
Do you think there is anything we can do for peace?
Yes, I think communication is key in that period, and we have to make sure that we are not, let's say, aggressive when we talk to people, and try to understand also a bit better. If we just look again about the interest of Ukraine and Russia today, because it's, let's say, it's our concern because we are now living in that period, and I guess that during almost 20 years the whole Europe were looking to expand the territory, including also the NATO forces, and the Russian probably misunderstood what we were effectively doing. And I'm not sure that every people in the east of Europe, where I had the chance to travel, especially for business in the past, and were maybe, let's say, also a bit divided inside their own country. So the regional aspects, especially during conflict or, let's say, difficult time, have to be addressed, and we have to make sure that everybody is able to live together. Japan is also a big country, and I'm sure, even if I'm not able to feel the, let's say, all the details, but you have probably different culture if you are from the north or from the south, and sometimes the major conflicts are coming from minor things like this. So we have to make sure that we are always, let's say, discussing together and be able to live together.
How do you think about the nuclear weapon?
That's a good question. Of course, it would be better if the bomb will never arrive here. We learn sometimes at school, probably you didn't get the same speech because we are not from the same country, but we learned at school that this bomb accelerated the end of the war. We have also to remind that what was the situation on that period. It's always really hard to judge what people did more than 70 years ago. Cultural things were totally different. Also the forces between the countries and let's say their relationship were also extremely different. I have to recognize, because also my country is also own the nuclear weapon. It's part of your credibility on the let's say international scene, but at the end of the day it could be also really dangerous. We often say that there is a rhetoric around that bomb and the fact to get that bomb within your own country, but it could be also really dangerous. And again, if we look at the current conflict now in Europe, we don't want to see any other conflicts anymore in that continent. I think people suffered a lot, and we don't want to extend that to the rest of the world. I mean, Europe was so many times part of the hurt of the conflict, and this is also our role to make sure that we stabilize the situation.
Finally, do you have any comment for people who watching this video?
I will encourage them to visit that part, especially maybe the Japanese people. I'm not sure how Europeans would be able to come here, even if we really love Japan, especially in my country, but in the whole continent, I guess. And I also realize that you also really like our country, so it's a good place to visit. I saw from this morning a lot of let's say students coming and pray here, so it's a good thing for memory. So it's definitely a place to visit in Japan and probably in the world.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.